What down, YouTube? Welcome back to Logic's Lens Gaming. I'm not here to take up too much of your time, so let's look through the lens of this $10 price increase on video games that we are currently in the midst of going through. Since 2021 has kicked off and a new generation of gaming consoles have come out, we've seen a price increase of $10 where games are now $69.99. And we can basically make sure, bet your bottom dollar, that AAA games from this point on are gonna be $69.99. But I do have a good feeling that it's possible for us as consumers to keep that from happening if you so care to save that little bit of money. $10 doesn't sound like a lot, but $10 is pretty steep in my opinion. Let's get into why I think that this should not happen. Let me preface this by saying that I do understand and support capitalism. I do understand that developers and these publishers are taking more time and more money. It takes a lot to make the games that we are currently experiencing. They're so much different than what we're used to. You know, I know the man hours and the manpower has definitely been a steep increase over the past 20 or so years, the way gaming has changed. So I can see how they feel that this $10 isn't a big ask from us, but I think that the time and money they have to put in to make these much more beautiful and intricate games, I think they have plenty of things to offset that cost. And I'm going to run through a list of them that we all can, say that we've experienced and seen. We've seen an increase of games with DLC. We've seen games with microtransactions. We've seen games with macrotransactions. You can almost pay the same price you pay for a game in a game. You can pay for a game twice easily these days, and that still wouldn't even give you the full experience of what the game has to offer. And I think one of the biggest things that I can't wrap my head around is the fact that they have way more money to keep in their pockets through digital sales. The fact that you can save on actually printing and distributing copies of the game, you do not have to distribute games at the same quantities that you had to, because a large percentage of the player base on across all platforms is digital games. I personally am not the biggest fan. I'm not, totally against it, but at the same time, digital sales are very prevalent and they're only gonna increase over time. I mean, damn it, y'all selling consoles that don't even have disc players these days. So with that being at the forefront of, even as we go into this streaming era where Google Stadia, they haven't done much with anything, but that's still an option. The streaming is gonna be a contender probably 10 years down the line. It's gonna matter. So like I said, between the DLC, the microtransactions, the macrotransactions, and games being digital only or being sold digitally, you cut down on distribution and actually physically making these games. And I think that money that you save on those things can definitely offset the man hours that you have to put in to create these games. And what is that going to do? That's going to make your fans happy and will be more willing to pay for DLC and some of these microtransactions that we know are inevitable in almost every game. There's more games we can name with these things than without them these days. Speaking of games with them, NBA 2 fucking K. You guys are not going to like me for all my 2K fans. They had the audacity, the unmitigated gall to charge you guys $70 for the base game, and 2K is nothing but a reskin of the previous game. You guys love to mention these new there's not that much added to these games on a year-to-year basis that they definitely should not be the first ones to come out with games that are $70. That's just unacceptable. You're changing a few logos here, you're mixing players, you're updating tattoos, and you're updating hairstyles on how these players look. And and then that's the most work you have to do year to year. I mean, the graphics have not been making these drastic increases either. You're not adding some new type of gameplay. It's generally the same game. You're either playing regular games or you're doing my career where you want to be the best. And then you're charging me tooth and nail to change my hair, to change my shoes, to change my clothes, to change, to get a special basketball, like all this extra stuff that you're charging me for, and then you have the nerve to charge an extra $10. What did y'all do to this game? It's 2K in particular. I'm really gonna harp on them. What have y'all done to justify $10 increase on the base game? I need a legitimate answer. 2K. Returnal is my next example. I feel like Sony has shot themselves in the foot charging $70 for a new IP, a IP that definitely looks like it has potential for a niche crowd. It's not a everybody game. You know, roguelike games are not for the masses, but couple a niche genre with a console that nobody can get with charging more than games used to cost. That's a recipe for disaster. So just say everybody that wanted a PS5 had one. Returnal isn't a game that everybody wants, even though it's a next gen game and it's exclusive to the PS5. There is no PS4 Returnal, so that's not even an option for a lot of people. And this is a brand new IP, so people are already feeling like they're taking a chance on it. Granted, the developers aren't new to this, new to game development, but it's a new game, and then you're charging more. The sales were abysmal. And you can say, oh, it's a new IP. You can argue it's a new IP. It's a new game. It's, a lot of people don't have PS5s. I definitely understand that argument, but Demon Souls and Spider-Man Miles Morales, blew it out of the fucking water. And that was when less people had PS5s. I mean, honest, more people have PS5s now than when it dropped in November. But, it still doesn't change the fact that people want to experience the new next gen games, the games that's only for this console. It's like, who wouldn't? I almost would have gotten the game if it wasn't $70, and I don't even like roguelikes. So that's not even, but I was willing to give it a chance to get that full on next gen experience with the adaptive triggers and the haptic feedback and the 60 frames per second, everything the PS5 has to offer, I was willing to experience. But for a $70 price tag, no. Games go on sales way too often these days for me to try to get it when it's new. Which brings me to my final point. Stop making half-baked games. If you guys feel like you can start charging us more money and continue to put out games that need patches and updates and day one patches and fixes and play as games as a service, all that other shit, that needs to stop right now. If you guys think you can get away with charging us for $10 extra, because I will stick to one game a year if I need to, and I will gladly wait till prices drop and games go on sale because of your lack of understanding, your consumers, to where you think that we will pay you more money to continue making games that aren't finished, and the price isn't justified as it is. We can almost guarantee games will have microtransactions or some type of DLC or some type of super collector special booster pack version that you're charging more for to get a jump start on. I'm not having it, and I don't know how you all feel, but if you feel how I feel, I think that banning together, this sounds very fucking corny, but hey, fuck it, to hold on to your game, hold on to your money until these games go on sale. Thank you for listening. Peace.